It's now time for another edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone, joined as always by the head coach, Brian Kelly. Coach, you get the win over USC, your rival. Seemed like maybe your most complete game of the season, in prime time, under the lights. Just how satisfying was this win?
Yeah, anytime you beat USC, it's as you mentioned, the rivalry game for us. I think more than anything else, our kids were excited, and you could see that in the crowd, the atmosphere, the pageantry of these two teams coming together just made for a great night.
Kyron Williams, we've talked about him every week, but this was maybe his most productive game of the season. Just what about him makes him such a special player?
Well, I think he plays with an edge, and I think that rubs off on everybody on the field. And when you see a guy that plays with that kind of, I think veracity and toughness, the game is about that too, right? And I think he brings that and embodies that, and it just gets the entire team excited.
All right, Coach, thanks. When we come back, we'll break down the entire game between Notre Dame and USC after this on Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time to break down Notre Dame's 31-16 victory over USC. Coach, let's talk about that first drive. 13 plays, 74 yards, a really strong drive, but you didn't come away with any points. What was your mindset after that drive? Because you saw some great things, but nothing on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I think it was probably more about the process than the outcome. The process was what we wanted, and it's what we worked for, it's what we researched, and that was to play faster, play with more tempo, move the ball around, and I thought Jack did a really good job. I think our offensive line did a really good job of making some adjustments because they came out in 3 down. They had been a 4-down defense all year. So I really liked, obviously the things that happened. Certainly we wanted to come away with points there, but I think more than anything else, we felt really good about what this was going to look like because we were going to score because of the way we moved the football.
Defense did a great job. Quick 3 and out, got you the ball right back. Then it was 10 plays, 70 yards. Michael Mayer, who missed the Virginia Tech game, heavily involved, and then Avery Davis with the touchdown. What'd you see on the first scoring drive?
We ended up being so balanced. I think we had, if you take away the kneels at the end of the game, I think we had 36 passes or 36 runs and 35 passes. And, that balance you saw in the drives as well. And so I think just keeping that balance and running the football, and then obviously the touchdown to Avery Davis versus zone coverage, which again, they had played all man down there. So it was really a nice job by Jack Cohn showing patience and waiting for the open receiver.
Let's talk about now the Bo Bauer interception. USC was moving the ball pretty well on that drive, and then Myron gets his hand on it. Bo makes the pick, doesn't get in, but really a huge play at that time of the game.
But I'm here to defend Bo. We had our GPS numbers. He ran 19.2 miles per hour. So Slovis had an angle, or this is the defense of Bo, just so he can be let off the hook that he got caught by a quarterback. But it just a really good play, and obviously we got set up in real good field position. Disappointed that we didn't cash that in for a touchdown. That was one of those where the outcome was a lot more disappointing because it was 3 plays and kicked the field goal, but we did get 3 points out of it.
You're playing really well at this point, as you said. 10-0 probably could be 21-0.
Yeah.
USC does well to tack on a field goal. The next drive, Lorenzo Styles, a name we've started to hear a lot more about. He gets involved with the 29-yard catch. What impressed you about him being able to step up on that stage?
Well, he's a guy that's not overwhelmed by it. I mean, he just plays the game fast, he plays it physical, and nothing really seems to faze him. So it's nice to see a young player go out there, and it's all the same to him. He's a football player, and it's nice to see him have some success.
I want to ask you about the third scoring drive, because this is where we've seen maybe the best example of the quarterback platoon system working. Buckner comes in for a few plays, Cohn comes back in. How have those guys been able to manage that? And that drive, it looked really seamless the way they handled it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we've kind of found a comfort level where Jack is running the offense efficiently with tempo, and then Buckner can come in and do a similar job, but maybe a little bit differently, more run oriented, and then you have to defend him. I mean, I think that's the big difference, is making defenses change what they're doing because you've got to defend the quarterback.
Your defense put it away. Isaiah Foskey with 2 more sacks in this game. I want to just ask you about him. He seems to have really come into his zone here. What makes him such a special talent?
Well, physically he's extremely gifted, but he takes care of himself. He gets rest, and he eats right, takes care of himself, works hard in the weight room, and that prepares him well for Saturdays. And he's relentless. He's on our kickoff team. I mean, he does all the little jobs as well. So, I think he earns all of the respect that he gets, and he prepares for success as well.
I want to talk about the locker room. We've mentioned Kyron. He got one of the game balls. Tariq Bracy got the other one. What was the reason for giving one to him after his performance in this game?
Well, because he's worked really hard. I mean, Tariq, this year is put on weight. He's worked hard in the weight room. He's doing the little things that you have to do to be a consistent player.
Last question I have for you is, you're now 8-3 against USC. When you look at your coaching career, just how important is it to you that you're now 8-3 against the Trojans?
Well, I'd like to be 11-0, but I guess if you're looking at it, that's a pretty good run. I'm just fortunate to have the opportunity to go against them 11 times, because I don't know that many have had 11 opportunities to go against USC. So, I mean, it's something to think about later, and when I write the book, we'll put that in there. There'll be a chapter on the Trojans. But more importantly, it's another step for this team and the development of this football team, and that's kind of what I look at, when we talk about USC, is rising to the occasion and playing your rival and playing the right way, and we did Saturday night.
Coach, thanks. When we come back, we'll take an even closer look at this Irish victory in this week's edition of Icon. This is Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time to take a closer look at this week's game with this week's edition of Icon.
My 11th time that I've gotten a chance to take a team against USC. It's about physicality. My mindset is, with a sense of urgency, I'm dominating my opponent. Individually, I'm winning that one-on-one matchup. And I'm locked in, focused, concentrating on that every single play for 3 hours. It doesn't get any better than that. That's what football is. That's what's in your blood. That's why you were born to play football. And you get to do that tonight. Play Notre Dame football. Fast, free, physical, one play at a time.
Game day, baby. It's time to work.
Look around you. It's not going to be an environment like this in the country.
Come on.
And you're going to wish we could play the game again. That's the way this game is.
It's one of those games you just look down at the field, and this is what college football is supposed to look like. Notre Dame, USC, under the lights in South Bend.
Let's go now. Physical.
First down, nothing open. Slovis is sacked. Loss of 8. Jason Lola comes up.
That's it, Jay.
It's on 3rd and 7. Pressure is on. He's in trouble. Chased by Tagovailoa Mosa. Irish pass rush alive on the opening 3 plays.
Let's go, D. Hell yeah, Rory. Hell yeah. Keep going. That game was nice. That was nice. Keep dominating that boy. Let's go. Let's go, man.
Nice, stay focused. Quick to get it out is what he does well. Tamer to the 45-yard line.
It's evident every time he gets into a 2-minute drive. You can feel a level of comfort, a level of confidence. He knows where to go with the ball. He knows how to get it there on time.
Touchdown right here. Long range and throws back in the end zone. Touchdown, Notre Dame. Avery Davis. Trojans in the red zone. Slovis. Foskey knocked it out of his hand. It'll be a loss of 10.
It's going to turn over.
DJ Brown, number 2, playing safety. Slovis on hit, and it's intercepted by Bo Bauer out of the air. Bauer got a block. Bauer with speed at midfield, being chased by Slovis. Bauer at the 20, tries to stiff arm, down at the 5.
How do you get tackled like QB?
21-yard field goal attempt. And he knocks it through to make it 10-0. 3rd and 11. 4 in the pattern. Pressure on Slovis. Hennessy through, and it's incomplete. One more time, Notre Dame bringing the heat. Cone throws it out, complete with a good run for Lorenzo Styles down the sideline. The speedy freshman nearly gains 30 yards.
Hey, good work, boys. Come on, baby.
Williams this time inside the 2 to the goal line and in for a Notre Dame touchdown.
If your intensity, if your focus, if your concentration
slips one bit, please stay on the sideline. Not in this game. Not now. Not tonight. Be fanatical if you're blocked on the perimeter. You don't get blocked. You get the ball carrier down. You play with tempo. You want to come out and dominate like a Notre Dame football team should against their rival? Show me that you can do that. Because this is for real.
The 25, and he's to London with the blocking. Good job initially by Tariq Bracy to make contact as he was being blocked. They let Drew White come over and finish it off for Notre Dame.
They're not going to quit or lay down. You make their ass quit. It doesn't have to be close and it starts right now. Let's go.
The best thing that Notre Dame offense did in the first half was create this up-tempo environment for Jack Cohn. I think it really works to his strengths.
Play justice to this run. Williams gets through the opening. Breaks the tackle. Kyron Williams on the run. Picking up blocks from Lindsey. All the way to the 26-yard line.
Up-tempo, 4th and short here.
That's a long way to go for a quarterback sneak. Cohn with the second effort. I think he got it over the top. And Cohn will give to Kyron Williams. Keeps the legs churning. And in for the touchdown. His second on the night.
Let's go, baby!
A lot of animosity building up right now.
You throw records out the window. This game is meaningful for both sides.
But USC has responded. Now Williams and the Irish will try to respond. Williams again makes a man miss. Tyler Buckner behind them now at quarterback, and Buckner will keep it and scores a touchdown. These quarterbacks, as they share the role, also share the joy as well. Look at Jack Cohn. Fired up for Tyler Buckner. It'll be 4th and 22. Trojans need to come up with a bunch here to stay alive.
There's no way they're going for it.
Notre Dame blitzes. Foskey chases. Sacks Slovis, who loses the football. And it's picked up by the Irish. Tariq Bracy falls on it. And that should do it. Notre Dame has beaten Southern California for the 4th consecutive time.
The jeweled shillelagh stays here in South Bend. It's about physicality when you play your rival. You played with a mentality, a focus, and it was fun to watch you play tonight. Game ball. Kyron Williams, you get one. Tariq Bracy.
So Tariq, you guys got a huge win over USC on Saturday night. I'm curious, just what was it like to play in that environment and get the win over your rival?
Being in that environment, it was amazing, especially when the lights came off. So honestly, it's just breathtaking to me. And you know, it's always a good win against USC, our rivals. So yeah, it was just a good team win overall.
For you, you got the game ball in the locker room. I'm always curious, what did that feel like when Coach gave you the game ball and you got to celebrate with your team?
It felt great, honestly, just over the past 4 years, you know, just working and having ups and downs, and getting that was just a great feeling, and being able to celebrate with my teammates.
I want you to try, if you can, go back before you decided to come to Notre Dame, when you were deciding where you might go to school and play football. What about Notre Dame drew you to this place?
Just the culture of it. It's something that you just can't get anywhere else, to be honest. And I guess just, you know, meeting different people in different walks of life and getting a different perspective on anything. And I think that's really something that's key when you come here. You know, you meet someone that does this and give you a different outlook on life.
Let's go back 2 weeks when you're at Virginia Tech. Got your first career interception in another great environment down there in Blacksburg. How did it feel to get your first career interception?
Yeah, getting the first career pick is great. You know, just honestly a confidence boost. And it's just, I don't know, it's unexplainable to me. Like, just getting that and, you know, having your hard work pay off. So yeah, it was great.
This is now 7 games with new defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman. I've asked all the defensive guys that have come in here, just what's it been like to play in his system so far this year?
You know, he lets you play free, and there's not much plays or designs for you to memorize. It's mostly the same stuff. You know, he just wants you to react and play fast and be physical. So, you know, we love Coach Freeman and everything that he's done so far.
When we come back, we'll go inside the play with Irish Intel, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's edition of Irish Intel, where we go inside the play. Coach, let's talk through this one here. This is the touchdown that puts you guys back up by 2 scores. Tyler Buckner in at quarterback. Talk me through the play.
Yeah, they had played a lot of zero coverage, so we wanted to get Buckner in because it's hard to defend the quarterback runs. They go into bracket coverage here, which was easy for us. You can see Kane Madden with the kick-out block, lead up there by the running back, Kyron Williams, and he just walks into the end zone. We have more hats than they do, so this was just, again, a defense that's easy to obviously run against. You can see here we've got a great double team at the point of attack. You're going to see right here Josh Lugg come down. You can see Mike Mayer comes down. He's got a great angle. So you got great angles. There's the kick out, and then now Kyron's going to lead up on a corner that's already in the end zone. So pretty easy to call this when you get that kind of defensive look.
Okay, Coach, this is the second touchdown drive of the game. You've got 2nd and goal here from the 5. This time, Kyron Williams punches it in.
Yeah, so this is an option to throw the ball or run it. You can see they're in a 2-deep zone here, and so in 2 deep down here, you've got a very shallow box. You don't have a lot of numbers. It's 3 down, so it's a 5-man box. This is a run read, and you can see again, it's very difficult to defend a team that wants to run the ball down here when you're in a 2-deep coverage.
So when Jack sees that, as you say, there's 2 safeties backed up inside the goal line even, he's going to check to the run, and that's his call to give it to Kyron.
Absolutely, and you can see here, when you have the additional defender here, he's got to come from a distance here. You can see number 21, he's coming down to be the extra hat, but he's got to come too far. We're on the 7-yard line. Even if he makes the tackle, which he does, Kyron's got a head of steam. He carries him all the way to the goal line. So pretty easy decision here when it's 2 deep.
When we come back, we'll wrap up this week's episode of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's time now to wrap up this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Coach, last week it felt like we were back. Everyone was in the stadium, USC, under the lights, the environment. Just what did it feel like to be back in Notre Dame Stadium in those kind of conditions?
Yeah, that's why you obviously come here. You want that environment. You want the electricity and the sold-out stadium, and that's home field advantage. And so, more of that to come, hopefully.
Let me ask you about one specific element. Between the 3rd and 4th quarter, something we never seen. The lights went out, big, different light show with different songs. What was your impression of that on the sideline at that time?
It was awesome. I mean, you could feel the energy, the excitement in the crowd, and on our sideline. And I was just holding my breath, hoping that the lights came back on. But look, we've come so far, and we've made the steps necessary to, create an atmosphere that's worthy of coming out and seeing a game. Instead of watching it at home, you don't get the same experience as if you came to that game. And I think that that's what you have to do. You have to create. First of all, you got to put a good product on the field. You got to put an exciting football team that wins, which we have. And then you have to be interactive. You have to have things going on in that stadium. And I think with the new stadium, the additions to the stadium, the interactive pieces, and the light show, I think it made it work.
Coach, as always, thanks for the time. We'll talk to you next week.
Pleasure. Thank you.
That does it for this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com.